Hey guys, how's it going? It's Blaze. Back with some more One Piece TCG content for y'all. So today, now that it's been a little while since the release of OP16 and the pre-release prices have kind of calmed down a little bit, I feel like it makes sense to check in on the market and kind of see where things are at. Now, this does not mean that I'm saying that the prices have fully settled. They could absolutely keep continuing to go down from here. We've seen before that with some of these recent sets, they take a little while to drop off after they plateau. But that being said, with how far down a lot of these OP16 prices have gone, I think this is a little more indicative of where they're kind of going to stick at. Maybe some of the higher stuff continues to go down a little bit, but I think a lot of these cards are kind of seeing their major fall off since pre-release already. So I do think now makes sense as a time to cover them. As a reminder, you can be entered to win this custom Luffy Otisig binder from Binge Party TCG. All you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about this OP16 market. All right, it's been a little while since I've done market content, so without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so off rip, we do have our cases sitting at around 2,200, a little under 2,200. They've gone down from like 3.5K down to less than 2. We are seeing a lot of sales at 2,200 pretty much every day. Now, for a case of this set, this does still seem a little high to me. I think we could see them go down. That being said, sealed cases, I mean, there's like inherent rarity there that comes from the nature of the sealed product. So maybe not, but once we start getting into some of these card values, I think you'll see why I feel like this is still a little bit high. And checking in on the booster box price, we do have $200 booster boxes here, down from like close to 300, over 300. People getting these crazy early. I guess we got a high sale of about 400, which is really crazy for one booster box. Please do not spend that much on one booster box. Personally, I think even 200 feels pretty high for what you're getting here with a lot of these card values and just kind of the general nature of this set. I don't think this is like a super crazy set outside of these three mangas, which let's get into. The Sakazuki manga sitting at around 1,200 bucks for near mint foil, a little under 1,200, high sale price of like 13. We are seeing sales here. Looks like they kind of dropped off a couple days ago. I think this probably will still go a little lower. I can't really see any of these mangas staying that far above 1K for all that long, just considering what they are and the fact that, I mean, if you look at the overall meta standings for a lot of stuff in this set, I don't think you're going to see a lot of people like alting their decks out with these or anything like that, especially when you consider that it's a 3-piece. So, like, even if you were playing this deck, you're not buying, I mean, most people aren't buying 12 copies of a manga to play for a deck that's not even top 10 in the meta. So I think these, from a playability perspective, are not that high. From a collectability perspective, I think a lot of the people you're going to see going after these are going to be trying to get one copy of each. So it's definitely possible that they could go down more, but it's also possible that they're kind of plateauing now. Once again, kind of hanging out around the 1,200-ish range. It looks like this one went back up a tiny bit here for the Kuzan. I feel like I've seen people saying that the Kuzan is one of the harder ones to hit. We are back down to like 1,190 now though, so yeah, I don't know if we really have enough data to say that definitively or not, but I think like buying this for over 1,200 definitely seems wrong. I feel like all of these go down to being sub 1,000 personally. That is just my opinion. We do have the Borsalino at, again, like 1,200 near mint, lowest verified. It looks like we've seen a sale all the way down, yeah, under 1,000, and now they're actually going back up a little bit, it looks like. So interesting to me that the Borsalino specifically is trending back up. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it is something that we're seeing here. Next up, getting into the SPs. The Miss All Sunday, definitely the standout SP of the set here. hanging pretty steady around 700. Looks like a high sale at 850. So we have come down a bit, but I mean, again, also here, like lowest sale around 650. Looks like things kind of came back up a little bit and now they're going back down. So I feel like this card probably hangs out in the 600 to 700 range for sure. Could go back up a little bit. Something to keep in mind, also just the fact that we don't have a whole lot of Nico Robin cards of like particularly high rarities, right? So we have the SP from EBO3. Now we have this OP16 SP. This is not a card that's been, I guess, or a character that's been particularly oversaturated. So it's not like a situation like what we see with Boa Hancocks, right? Where there's so many of them now that a lot of the newer ones can't really hold up to the older ones. I do think this is never going to hit the level of like the EBO3 SP, right? Because that's kind of the first really big high rarity Robin card that we got. And it's also not titled with the Miss All Sunday title, right? So this is the kind of pre-Straw Hat Baroque Works version of Robin. People have a lot of nostalgia for this design, but overall I do think that the actual main like Straw Hat Robin will probably always go for a little more than a Miss All Sunday version. I do think the art and the art style for these SPs is quite nice though. It's kind of like a nicer version of the OP4 style of like portrait alt arts, in my opinion, or SPs in my opinion. This definitely, of everything out of the set, I feel like this is probably the safest play if there's high-end stuff that you're trying to go for here out of the set. I think this is a pretty good card. And then after that we have the Ace, and there's a massive fall off there, right? So we're really only seeing the major amount of value for this set is being contained in that top 4 cards, right? 3 of which are mangas. So, and out of an SP slot, there's enough different cards in that SP slot that it's going to be pretty hard to hit that Miss All Sunday, right? Even in a case, even if you've got 2 guaranteed. So the Ace next at 270, high sale of like 440. These came down relatively quickly, hanging around 300 for the last week, down to like 270 now. Looks like it bottomed out at like 230 and now it's kind of coming back up. So we are seeing like a faster fall and then rise back up for some of this stuff. Not saying that that will 100% continue and that things couldn't go even lower, but it is worth noting, I think, that the pattern for this looks like maybe buying at the low point for some of these cards either has already happened or is in the process of happening. So that might be something to keep in mind. We do have the Katakuri here. Again, similar pattern, right? We see this go down all the way from a high sale of 385 down to like 160 here. And then a slight peak back up around 180. A little tiny fall off here, but yeah, we are seeing like 170, 180. There is a like hard dip down and then a slight peak back up, although this also looks like it's kind of gone down a little bit still. We're seeing 180. Yeah, I mean, something like Katakuri, this will be interesting to see where it goes. I think tracking on a lot of these SPs will kind of tell us what the trajectory of the set is. We do have the Zehahaha alternate art here, the manga rare, if you will, version of this card. Yeah, again, we see the full dip, we see that little peak back up, and then another dip again. High sale 350, we're seeing him go for around 160 to 170 now. Pretty big drop there. Lowest listed being 163 at the moment. Tashigi SP 143. Now this one never really was selling for all that high. High sale of like 190, basically 200. So this dropping down to 140, I mean, it makes sense. It's not as massive of a drop off as the others because I think people kind of knew this card was not going to be as popular as some of the others. So that tracks fairly well. We got the Kuma SP here. I feel like this one got hurt a little bit by just the oversaturation of yellow. I don't think Kuma is run as much as it used to be in yellow decks. So we did see a drop off there from a high sale of 250 all the way down to like 135 right now. This one looks like it might be actually fully bottoming out. So if the Kuma is something you're interested in, it could definitely still go down, but I don't think you're crazy if you want to go ahead and pick this one up. I don't think it's guaranteed that it would. It could very well come back up a little bit. I don't know if it'll be playable again right away though. After that, we do have the Alt Art Yamato Leader here. This one's a little surprising to me that it's staying as high as it is here at 112, lowest listed. High sale of 200, so I mean down like, yeah, 43%, obviously quite a bit. It was down to under 100 at one point. Yep. And then we got sales up at like 125, 110, 112, 112, 112. A lot of 112, a lot of sales at 100. So it looks like this one's actually coming back up a little bit, which is slightly surprising to me considering that I don't think this deck is particularly well positioned in the meta. It's a fun deck. I like it a lot. It's the deck I've mainly been playing, but in a room full of, you know, yellow Namis and now I guess green Luffy, it doesn't have a horrible matchup into, but it definitely feels pretty dicey if the other player knows what they're doing a lot of the time. And I don't think this deck is like amazing in the meta at the moment, so I'm a little surprised at how this comes back up. But I guess if some of these yellow decks start to get pushed down more in the meta, this deck could definitely pop up as a response to that, and we are starting to see a little bit of that. So maybe this is kind of preempting possible surge in the viability of Yamato. We do then have the Cavendish SP. This one fell off pretty brutally, not showing the high sale, but yeah, this guy's under $100 now, which is a little surprising to me because I feel like this is probably the most playable out of all the SPs. I guess it's not as collectible, but I mean, this is a card that pretty much every blue deck runs except the new Luffy and Buggy. But yeah, I mean, Ace is definitely still around. And I think Ace is one of the better positioned decks in the meta, actually, despite being kind of in the, you know, secondary tier of top 10 decks. So I feel like you're going to start seeing people buying these up as play sets pretty soon, and then the price could potentially go back up. I don't know how much it really goes back up though, considering that Cavendish is maybe not the most well-loved character ever. It's only really present for one arc. But that being said, I mean, we've seen the alt arts for Cavendish massively pop off before, so it's definitely possible that that could happen with this. After that, we do have the Teach alt art going for around $100, like 95 here. This was kind of always going for around 100, so really hasn't seen much of a drop off. This is a pretty staple-y, potentially, yellow card here. Definitely a very, very strong heal on a big body here that kind of lets you fish through your triggers and set up good stuff. Now we have the Luffy. It looks like this one's coming back up a little as people are realizing how strong it was. Definitely started off high, pretty similar trajectory to Yamato, right? I think this is probably the other main popular leader other than Teach from the set, and it is getting Luffy taxed, so around $100 for this. Looks like it is starting to creep back up. Most sales like under 190 something bucks, and now we're at, you know, 112 again. So yeah, pretty similar to Yamato there. And speaking of Yamato, we do have the character alt art here. I don't love this card. I actually think the SR is like cooler in terms of the art style of it. It's kind of like overly detailed. I mean, it's definitely very like detailed in terms of the rendering, but I don't know, stylistically, I think the lightning coming out from the bottom of the regular SR kind of gives it a cooler look. This Daisuke Izuka artist, I can't say I'm a huge fan of. Going for 80 bucks though. I mean, it's a Yamato. It peaked at 95. It's the main SR for the deck. It's a pretty popular deck, I think. It makes sense for this to be popular. Also, it is a female, quote unquote, female character. Boa Hancock here, alternate art, following that up at 70. Again, best like big SR for the Luffy deck, very popular deck. This did see a big fall off. I think people see Boa Hancock printed on a card and they freak out and they buy it for lots of money because they're maybe not, you know, paying as much attention to the overall trends here. This down to 75 now. I think that's a little more reasonable. Last sale, I mean, it's still continuing to go down. Lowest verified at 71. Yeah, people were just really overselling this card because it's a Hancock. But I mean, we have so many Boa Hancock cards now. I don't think this is like a particularly notable one outside of its playability. So I think you're going to see numbers that more reflect the playability than the kind of like waifu collector market appraisal, I suppose. Marshall D. Teach alt art here around 55 bucks. Pretty good. You know, it debuted at 200. I think a lot of people realize how difficult this deck was to play, and the collectability of it is not that high. So, I mean, 55 bucks for one of the best leaders. 55 bucks for this doesn't seem horrible to me, but it could definitely still go lower. The Mr. 3 Galdino, 51 bucks. I mean, this is shot way back up. I think people really underestimated how good this card is. You know, the pre-release that I won my Winter Luffy from, a lot of the fact that I won rested around seeing this card pretty consistently. The SR version, just throughout my games. I mean, playing a card that prevents an attack, potentially setting it up to get a swing and then reduce one attack and get a draw so that it replaces itself is pretty insanely good. I think leaving it standing is a little risky, but in a pre-release format, you know, I think it's a little easier to get away with it. This card, just on its face though, the effect of this is really, really good. This is probably one of the better blue 4-drops I think we've maybe ever seen. So this coming back up to 50 or higher for the alt art does kind of make sense to me. I'm sure this will go back down once the green and blue Luffy is less relevant, but yeah, as far as for now, the playability of that, very, very strong. On the other side of things, the 4-drop 6K Monkey D Luffy for the Ace deck fell off pretty dramatically here, and I don't really see it coming back up in terms of playability. Now, that being said, this is a Luffy, so this could definitely go back up in terms of collectability, but I wouldn't guarantee it. I mean, just because it says Monkey D. Luffy on the card doesn't necessarily mean it'll end up being one of the more desirable ones for collectors. I do think this is a nice art though. I do think this Impel Down / Marineford version of Luffy is very memorable in terms of the art and how it fits into the story. So maybe it does become a bit more collectible. We do have the Ace hanging out around 42 bucks here. Big drop off there. High sale at 200 is a little crazy. I've been trying to trade this card for something else. Nobody wants it. So, you know, that's an indication right there. We do have the Teach here, the normal secret version. High sale at 74. That's a little crazy. 40 bucks here. I feel like it sticks around 40 bucks. I mean, this is definitely a very strong card. I think it's less of a staple than people kind of thought it was going to be going into OP16, where we sort of thought every yellow deck was going to put this in there. But it turns out it's a little more situational, and there are still other staple yellow cards that are a little stronger. This is definitely kind of a Borsellino situation, though, where it's a normal art that I think is going to retain its price pretty consistently. We do have the Kinemon next. This is kind of the main 4-cost searcher. It's basically a Zorojuro for Black Wano, and it does gain +3 cost, which is very, very nice. Gets you out of a lot of annoying removal situations here. 40 bucks for this card. I mean, this honestly makes sense. We do have the Vista Treasure Rare here. Nobody wants this card. I feel like $40 for a treasure rare, I mean, that tells you a lot right there. 36, 35. Maybe this comes back up at some point, but I don't really see it. The Newgate alt art, I could see this card definitely being relevant at some point. I mean, a leader gaining double attack and plus 2k is just inherently very strong. This revealing 2 with 8k thing is a little more situational, but I feel like if red ever kind of becomes good again, this is definitely a very, very strong big body to drop for a red deck, I think. I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing it being used in the ace, but I think with how defensive that ace deck is, it kind of makes sense. Like the slots this would be replacing are sort of more useful to you defensively to raise your leader's power level across both turns. So that does make some amount of sense to me. I could see this coming back up though. It looks like it's already kind of starting to. And I do think this art's really, really nice. So, you know, definitely want to keep an eye on over time. We'll sort of see where things go. The buggy alt art leader all the way down to 30 bucks. Pretty brutal fall off here, even from the 120 it started at. I think it makes sense. This leader just isn't that popular. I think it's kind of underrated though, to be honest, but I just can't survive against Nami. Sakazuki alt art. This card is definitely going to become problematic in one of these purple decks someday, but today's not that day, so I think it's a little low. This could definitely go up. I mean, just minus 6k on a body, rest 1 Dawn, add 2 Dawn from your Dawn deck, set them as active. I mean, ramping and -1, minus 6k is really, really strong on an 8k body. This card seems incredibly good to me. Someday that card will become overpowered. We got the alt art SEC ace here going for 30 bucks. Not too bad. I don't think anything really plays this right now, and I think it is very, very specific to the ace OP16 deck. I don't really see how this becomes super good in another deck. I think it's kind of okay at best, and I don't really know how you make it work anywhere else. So yeah, not seeing a bright future for that one. The Momonosuke alt art here, I think this is a really, really nice card. I think this is actually one of the cooler arts for the Land of Wano stuff. Down to like $28. Pretty good time to pick these up, I think. I don't see these going too much lower unless Yamato like completely falls off a cliff. But very core card to the deck, and I think one of the weaker looking normal arts when you don't have it alted. Got the Moby Dick for 25 bucks. Alt art stage, kind of interesting. The Sengoku leader around 27, down from 100. This makes sense. This leader is not very good, and I think that the alt art of it is also not that good. This deck could start to see some more viability as the meta shifts though. It actually has pretty decent matchups into some of the decks that are sort of on the rise right now. So we'll see how this ends up going. I could see this coming up. If you're interested in it, now might not be a terrible time to buy it. Shiryu alt art, pretty cheap here. Good card for Teach. Has actually gone up, which is interesting. High sale price of 35. Now we're looking at it around 20 bucks. I mean, yeah, this is a card you want if you're playing Blackbeard. 1-drop Luffy for the green blue deck here, down to like 18 bucks. Again, if you're playing the new Luffy deck, pretty good pickup here. I don't see it being super collectible though. Bon Clay also kind of in the same position, down around 18 bucks here. It looks like 1776 lows verified. So yeah, very affordable card. You definitely want these in that Luffy deck. Same deal with the Buggy, down to like 15. I suspect we're going to start seeing people who want to play these decks buy up these play sets soon. Same deal here, like 14 bucks. I mean, these cards are all very, very solid in the Luffy deck. Yeah, I suspect people will start buying them. They could start coming back up. Ace, 12 bucks. Again, same deal as what I said before. Base art version of a not very playable card. Borsellino alt down to $11. Pretty brutal here. Could come back up. I definitely don't know how it goes lower. Same thing with the Kuzan. if Sengoku starts to become more viable, I could definitely see these going up. Don't really see them going lower. I think you're pretty much safe to start buying these purple navy cards if you're interested in them. Again, the Marco, it's just too specific to that ace deck. I don't really see this card ever being relevant. Could be totally wrong though. And then now we get into the actual base SR. So the Mr. 3 being the most expensive SR of the set. Actually not too surprising to me because this card is just so good. Like, the effect of this card is so strong. And then next up we have the Prisoners of Impel Down, which this isn't even an SR. This is a rare, but under the rules of the game, you may have any number of this card in your deck. $7. This is the secret hit of the set, as everyone's been saying. You make money on your pack if you get one of these, right? And then we do have the Impel Down Gold Dawn, incredibly cheap Gold Dawn, going for like $7. And then next up we do have the Yamato SRs going for $5. I really think this for an SR looks awesome. Like, if you took this border off this card, I think this looks better than the alt art. I mean, it's less detailed, but I think the style of it is just so much cooler. It looks so much more badass. You see the lightning coming off the mace there. And then kind of the same deal with the Kinemon. Like, these are like very action cool poses on these SRs here. Going for $370 just about. I mean, these are core pieces in, you know, pretty popular deck, so makes sense. You got the bow around $2. Pretty much everything else going down to $2 or less. $1, 30 cents, yada yada. So it kind of goes down from here. And then we do also have, as far as seal goes, double pack displays going for like $270. The booster pack itself going for $425. I mean, you're getting ripped off even if you buy these. Sleeves going for almost $10. I mean, you're not getting, these aren't a scam, but it's still really rough for them to be that high, given I think what we've seen of the value of this set. It's not a super deep set here. And then also double packs for like $30 here almost. Pretty crazy. I mean, even OP15 I think was a better value on some of this smaller sealed product, or sealed product in general. Honestly, I think $200 for this is also crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I won't tell you what to do, but personally, I would not be buying sealed at these prices off TCG Player. I already paid too much for sealed, in my opinion. Buying boxes for anywhere near $200, which unfortunately I was kind of put in the position of having to do for a couple of my boxes. I think I bought 4, 2 at retail, 2 closer to market, not actual market, but closer to market. And I would not recommend it. I would have to recommend against it. All right, well, that's what OP16 is looking like. Do you guys think these prices are going to go up? Do you think they're going to go down even further than the fall off a lot of these have seen? Do you think these SPs are worth the investment? Do you think these mangas are worth your time and worth the chase? Do you think sealed product is worth these prices? Do you think it's going to go down even further? Do you think it's going to go up? Let me know what you think. Again, you can be entered for that binder if you like, subscribe, and comment down below. Also, I do just really enjoy talking to you guys all in the comments. It's always fun to respond to what people have to say. Let me know what you think of the set from a playability perspective, meta perspective, whatever you want to talk about. It's a new set. It's an exciting time. And I will see y'all next time. Until then, peace.